Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I'll be showing you how to win the Mega Draft Challenge because I've seen that it is one of the best ways you can get value for your gems, as it is quite easy to get 12 wins if you just follow some of the tips that I'm going to give you today. So we're going to be looking at the last two replays, win number 11 and win number 12 of the last Mega Draft Challenge I did. As you can see, this is a pretty weird deck I have never played before. I'm not a Mortar player, but I did choose cards that are inside my comfort zone, such as the Log or the Fireball. I'm not going to be showing you the draft selection process because it takes forever. However, I am going to give you tips on the selection process because I believe that it is the most important part in order to be consistent and have the 12 wins in a consistent manner in this game mode. So the first tip I'm going to give you right now is that you should select and you should choose cards which you are comfortable playing. This can either be cards that you constantly have in the decks you usually play, or cards that you just know the interactions to, because for example, knowing how much damage a Fireball does to the towers and to different units can be key in getting ahead in very tight games against opponents. Additionally, all the decks you choose should have a similar structure more or less. They should have one big spell and one small spell, such as here I have the Log as my small spell and the Fireball as my big spell. I don't generally like to go with very big spells such as the Lightning and the Rocket because I feel that they are too risky to take. However, in some instances they can also be very good to take. Additionally, you should have a win condition. 1 or 2 should be better because since they will see what win condition you choose, they will also very likely choose a good counter to it. So having 1 or 2 minimizes the risk that you will not be able to attack them. For example, in this game you're seeing right now, I chose the Goblin Barrel and right after our opponent chose arrows. So I knew that they were going to keep their arrows for a Goblin Barrel as a mechanism of defense. So I had to choose the Mortar, which was the only other solid win condition that was left to be selected, and it is perfect because I can also use it defensively as well as offensively. The number one mistake I see players actually doing in this type of game mode is that they focus too much on offense and too little on defense, when I believe that you should prioritize getting good stops on defense than actually doing good attacks on offense. Why? Well, this is because the majority of these games actually go into overtime and actually finish without no towers being taken. And here you can see an example. With that mini P.E.K.K.A going on the right, I had to defend it with a Goblin Barrel, or if not, the game would have been more complicated. One other thing I like to keep in mind is the average elixir cost of the deck I'm choosing. I believe that having a low cost deck in this kind of game mode is a lot better than having a high cost deck. Why? Well, this is because you're playing with cards that you usually do not play with, and if you have a lower cost of elixir, you can rotate back to the cards you're more comfortable with a lot earlier than if you had a higher cost deck. Additionally, I believe that if you have a lower cost deck, the mistakes you actually do have less of an impact on your game. With all this being said, this is a game mode that's going to require a lot of intelligence from your part. You're going to have to be paying a lot of attention to all the units that your opponent is choosing and select counters that you are comfortable with in order to defend their units. For example, in this game that we just won, the opponent chose the Phoenix, and the only good counter that I knew how to play against them and felt comfortable in defending them was the Executioner, which additionally gave me a lot of security in the defense side, since when there are all cards bunched up trying to cross the bridges, the Executioner is a great card for defending them. So now we're going to be moving into game 2, where as you can see I also have a very cheap deck, and the last card is very strange. That elixir was a mistake from me, that I was not paying attention to the screen and actually selected it on as a mistake. However, you will see that we learn how to use it later into the game, and we actually end up taking the W, as this was the 12th win, and if I lost it I would have been out of the tournament. In this draft, we saw that our opponent actually chose the Lightning spell as their big spell very early on. So what we decided to do is not choose any high health units for defense, such as the musketeer that would get killed from the lightning. Instead, we chose units that would survive a lightning, such as the cannon, or units that would not give that lightning a lot of value, such as the Dark Goblin. And then we also chose the Royal Delivery, which with its shield is amazing to stop Sparky, and the cannon also serves that purpose really, really well. And all of this added to the accidental elixir pumps that we got actually served us really well in order to beat this deck. One win condition that I really like in these challenges is the miner, because if you place them constantly in different angles, it is very difficult to stop the chip damage that they do. And remember, these games are mostly about defense than about offense, so any chip damage you manage to get into their tower is almost guaranteed win. Here is where it comes into play to be comfortable with the cards you choose. My opponent commits the mistake of placing the Electro Wizard and the Sparky way too close to their tower, and I get extremely good value from that Fireball. But the only way I would have been able to do that is if I constantly play Fireball in the majority of my decks, which I do. And then with the Miner, just keep applying pressure and keep getting that chip damage that in the end will win you the game. Here he's going to try another big attack, but I have my cannon card ready, which is one of the best counters to Sparky, as it does not die in one hit. And you can see how we got the stop once again with Royal Deliveries and evading his lightnings. Here he starts to prepare a big attack, and as we do in the majority of our games, we pressure the other lane in order to make him either commit to defend the bandit or to attack on the other side and ignore the bandit. However, he plays it extremely well and we are forced to defend with an elixir shortage. However, the Dark Goblin and our Royal Delivery are enough to stop that Elite Barbarian, Sparky and Giant Goblin combo. As you can see, this game has again gotten to overtime and it does not look like it's gonna finish anytime soon. He's just still doing every single time the same attack, which is what his deck is intended to do, and I'm doing the same defense all the time, which is with a Fireball and a Royal Delivery I get his troops to enough health to where a log can actually almost finish his attack off, and then with a Miner just get some chip damage and the bandit pressuring on the other side. I think this bandit, no, it doesn't connect on the tower, but you can see that slowly we are actually chipping away in his towers, and he is desperately trying to get a Sparky hit on the tower, which does not look like it's gonna happen anytime soon. Here he makes a very big mistake. He gets tired of his attacks always being shut down and he starts to just launch this big cards at the bridge, such as Sparkies and Goblin Giants, and actually lets our cannon cards and our Dark Goblins to accumulate and then cross the bridge together, which becomes way too much for him to deal with because two cannon cards are very powerful. And then our Miner with this last push is able to finish it off, but look at that, there was only 9 seconds left, so the game was already decided. So this is how you can consistently get the 12 wins in the Mega Draft Challenge. First of all, choose cards that you're comfortable with, try to build a deck that has very low elixir cost average, and choose counters to your opponent's win conditions. So thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and a comment, and I'll leave you with the chest opening. Until the next one.